Indeed, it's good to be here today. You know, what a way to begin a new week, Veronica.
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe that there are so many stories dominating the papers this morning.
Absolutely, and a lot of stories, especially in politics.
Right, take it away then.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the newspaper review segment right here on TVC Breakfast. It's a new week, and that's how we would begin with the Nation newspaper. This morning with a very wonderful caption right there about the just concluded Osun Council poll. Adeleke breached oath of office, says APC. Governors bars chairman from secretariat. Well, you know, there's been this debacle, Veronica, between the PDP and the APC in Osun State, and we saw the bloodbath that took place there.
Unfortunately, some persons had to lose their life.
Exactly, even though we had, from the beginning of the incident, been calling for peace. But a court had, you know, given an order that the election shouldn't take place, but the governor said irrespective of that, he was going to go on with the election, and it has come and gone.
He went ahead with the election. It's a sad commentary that we're having that kind of situation where someone of his status is not adhering to a court ruling. What kind of precedents are you setting? What kind of message are you passing across? What are you trying to say? What statement are you trying to make?
Indeed.
It's unfortunate. It's a country, we run a democracy and we say we uphold the rule of law. Whatever you intend to do, at the end of the day, the PDP swept all the seats. I mean, so what would one think? That, you know, that he, you know, muffled the whole thing and then ensured that his cronies or his persons are there. But then there have been talks, the police have even said that, no, this election shouldn't even go ahead. Every other persons who are supposed to be stakeholders in the process were speaking to these matters, yet he went ahead. I am wondering how they will take it up from here, even though the APC is saying that, is asking their local government chairman to return to their offices today. I'm wondering how this whole matter will pan out today. I'll be looking forward to what comes out of it.
Let's see, indeed, like you just said. And something right there, how states can boost tax revenue by Oyedele. Government raises compensation payment on Lagos-Calabar Highway. We've seen the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, in Lagos going around inspecting some of the works. And it's great that we are still seeing this compensation still coming on, because a lot of persons haven't yet received what they're supposed to. I believe
it's a gradual process.
Exactly.
Because you can phase by phase, phased to ensure that everyone is covered. So if you are not part of those who received compensation in the first phase,
you definitely will
receive compensation in the next phase. So I'm not sure what phase they are right now, but believe your compensation is coming.
Oh my God. Okay, but there's a congratulations or congratulatory note right here, very bold on the Nation newspaper this morning. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim is congratulating the governor of Ondo State, you know, for concluding the tenure of his former boss, Aketi, you know. Now, why I had to pick this up, Veronica, you remember the political conundrum that existed between the two of them when they were contesting for their party's primary, you know. And so to see Jimoh Ibrahim, you know, step down and accept what it has become.
Well, does he have a choice?
Well,
he has no choice. But then one would say it's the spirit of sportsmanship.
Exactly.
Ensuring that, okay, you congratulate someone who took up what both of you were contesting for, but it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
And that's what we let it off for the Nation newspaper this morning as we make our way to the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Experts see banks benefiting from elevated interest rate environment, urge fiscal monetary authorities unity to tackle inflationary pressures. All right. Again, on politics, Adeleke swears in newly elected Osun local government chairman. We wait to see exactly how that will really play out at the end of the day. Serap seeks court order to halt CBN's ATM fee increase. We're still talking about tariff hike, Veronica, in various things. One of the things we saw some weeks ago, was the plan to increase fees. Now, once that is done, the end user, Nigerians, who go to the POS and ATMs and so on and forth, to withdraw money, would be the ones to bear the brunt. Why should we always be the ones to bear that?
I think that we need to investigate banks and the kinds of fees they deduct from end users who are using perhaps their services. I mean, you transfer money, you are deducted. You receive money, you are deducted.
You save money.
And then you still want to collect money on what exactly, really? ATMs? Maybe you're also paying money for maintenance of the ATM. I hope you haven't forgotten.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure
you pay money for the SMS and the emails. What exactly else?
Exactly. I mean, you are pressing our necks. It's getting too much.
Please let us breathe for once. And quickly before we leave the Daily Independent this morning, sacks of VC's governing council affecting universities' development. This is according to NAT. Okay. We'll be waiting to see how that would be. But that's where we'll let it off for the Daily Independent as we make our way to the national economy this morning. Veronica, with what we just finished discussing, POS agents to increase charges as CBN tackles cashless ATMs. Now, this is where I'm worried. If ATMs do not have money, who are supposed to have money, why would we turn to POS operators to have the money?
We are encouraging POS operators to thrive, and that is not even helping us. Because
that's the point.
Why should I buy money? Why should I use the Naira to buy Naira?
Exactly what it means.
That's not helping our economy or helping our society. Yes, you are creating jobs and all of it, but then why are we doing this? You go to the ATMs, and then you cannot get as much money. You go across the counter, they are telling you you cannot get beyond this certain amount. Maybe you have an emergency and you need a huge sum, they are telling you cannot get it.
Now remember, that's an amount if you go to the POS operator.
They'll get them. How do they get those monies? Now you go to parties, you see people spraying monies and you wonder,
where is it coming from?
I thought the bank says we cannot get so amount. Where are these people getting monies from?
Like you said, we need to investigate. And something at the bottom of the paper this morning, Nigeria setting new path in electricity supply chain. That sounds like some good news in electricity, and I'm really interested in this one. But that's where we would let it off for the national economy as we make our way to the leadership newspaper this morning. At the top nameplate of the leadership, we see federal government spends $8 billion to stabilize Naira. This is quoting the Minister of Finance. Well, that's something I need to look a bit deep into to be sure of how the federal government spends that for that purpose. And look at this, corruption in the judiciary. Lawyers blame Nigerian system, sack urgent reforms.
They are seeking urgent
reforms.
Right.
Reforms have, for so long a time, there have been calls for reforms in the judiciary. I think it's become sort of like a broken record, if I would say that. When are we truly to see, reforms in that sector that would be permanent to deliver the kind of justice that we seek to see in this country? Why is it taking so long?
I think reforms begins with the individual. The one who chooses not to be corrupt as they have written it here. It begins with the individual. And then the leadership of the judiciary, what steps are they taking to ensure that the reforms they know they need, they are pushing that forward strategically such that we can begin to see the impact in our justice system and every other places where we need them. Justice or the judiciary is said to be the hope of the common man, but when we are seeing corruption slip in...
Maybe the common man has no hope, right?
No, Nelson, I'm not taking it in that way. Okay. Nelson, calm down and listen now. But I'm saying it's critical that we address these matters. If the hope of the common man is hanging on the balance as a result of corruption,
then we have a problem.
There is a challenge.
Yeah. And so that the lawyers would not only always be pointing accusing fingers to politicians, they too need to put their house.
They play a major role.
Exactly.
In our democracy, they do.
Because we always take election matters to their table.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it becomes the highest bidder.
Well, you said that.
All right. Telecom's blackout looms as fuel tanker drivers down tolls. This the federal government is fighting strongly to ensure that that is not the case, and we do not want to see that again. But that's all we lit up for the leadership newspaper this morning as we make our way to the Abuja Enquirer. And I see a picture story here, Veronica. You know, I'm co-opting you as my own. Well, I'm with this morning.
You just have to mention that.
Governor Sanwo-Olu is here and the Minister of Information. Wonderful to see this. This was during the minister's visit to, or rather the governor's visit to the minister in Abuja on Friday. Looks good here. But look at this, 15 MDAs at high risk of corruption. This is according to the ICPC. And when the ICPC says this, we need to pay attention. JAMB, 9 others, top 10 on ethics and integrity. Integrity. Wow. MD 15, that's a whole lot.
It goes to show how deep corruption has eaten into the fabrics of our society. 15, I am thinking perhaps it might be more than that. And they are just trying to, you know, manage this whole matter.
So that doesn't become
because we do not have full details
on it, right?
Which of the MDAs this is. But it's quite worrisome that these are
that
ministries and agencies that feeds into what we do as a country. And if we are having 15 of them, you know, having this kind of report, then we have a challenge with corruption. What are we doing with regards to corruption? Does this lend credence to the recent corruption index report that we got?
That said, we stepped up a bit, you know, which for me, that figure is still alarming.
It is. Because with the effort being made by government to address this whole issue, tighten loose ends and ensure that we get it right, then there's something wrong with us.
Absolutely.
As a people.
Hopefully it would be checkmated and brought to normalcy. That's what we laid up for the Abuja Enquirer as we make our way to the Blueprint newspaper this morning. We see again tension in Osun as Defiant Adeleke swears in LG chairman. We're waiting to see the last of that. But there's something else right here. Ayedatiwa dumps Akeredolu's redeemed agenda, opts for our ease. That's a whole lot in one statement. We need to check what that means to know exactly why what was dropped. And we see here Information Minister Idris loses mother-in-law. Oh, this is a sad one.
Unfortunate.
Holds service at the National Mosque today. Condolences to the minister himself. Little wonder Governor Sanwo-Olu paid him a visit, you know, in Abuja.
I just want to look at this story that you mentioned earlier on of Ayedatiwa dumping Akeredolu's redeemed agenda and opting for our ease. He has concluded, you know, the tenure
of Akeredolu.
And now this is his tenure. And he feels, I have an agenda I want to run with. So I believe how they couched it here is seemingly looking like,
bye, this is me.
It's not necessarily dumping, but he's saying it's perhaps building on what his principal did, and he wants to say he's giving it a name of his own. So the media needs to, you know, take it easy on this politician sometimes.
I like the fact that you called us out on this.
I mean, let's call ourselves out.
Very important, very important. And that's where we'd leave it for the Blueprint newspaper this morning as we make our way for the News Direct. And I mean, lots of picture stories right here. But Veronica, there's one that really interests me. At the top there we see the governor of Ogun State and three white men in Adire.
They're looking good.
Absolutely good. I love this, you know. Again, remember that the governor's been trying to champion, you know, the export of Adire and the manufacturing of Adire, you know, in the state. And so to see this wonderful executives wearing that with the governor, it's beautiful. But that's an aside. There's something else right here, again, on drugs. The NDLEA twat style lady smuggling of 43 parcels of Canadian loud. Veronica, last week we saw a report that Nigerians are increasingly using drugs. The NDLEA is having to fight a lot of this. I'm wondering, I'm supposing you know, how come that we, you know, especially young people, because this is reported around young people, but also older adults are involved in this. How come we are seeing a record increase in the use of illicit drugs in this country? What's going on?
Perhaps because of the pressure of the economy or the situation around them. A lot of people are looking for escape route to just get things off their minds and not remember that perhaps they have challenges. And some other persons feel that there are issues that, well, my friend is doing it, and so I too, I need to do that.
Is drugs the way to go to forget anything?
No, but some people, that's the only option they know. That's the only available option. Now, if it is not readily available, they would not buy it. They would not see it to buy. So we need to do something about taking it off the streets, making it readily available for anyone to get access to it. We need to begin to look at that.
Indeed, it's important. And finally, before we leave the Nigerian News Direct this morning, we see a conversation here from Dangote. We have enough to meet Nigeria's needs. I think that's some good news, because last week we saw a report of the Dangote refineries complaining of some kind of hardship around that. And so to see this, he's saying we have enough. I think we're good to go with the Dangote refineries.
This is coming on the heels of that trending video where there was a comparison between his fuel and that of the NNPC and all of that. I am thinking perhaps that was a marketing strategy. Well,
probably it will work for him. As we make our way to the Punch newspaper this morning, and again, APC PDP clash as El Rufai woos opposition parties. 2027, like I like saying, is dancing in the green grass. At the top nameplate right there, tax reform, National Assembly engages caucus leaders as hearing begins. Okay. And this is about the Lagos Assembly. Tinubu engages Akonde, Oshoba, others on peace mission. Indeed, we'll wait to see how that goes. And there's something else right here. Stepfather at the bottom of the Punch. Stepfather, friend arrested for impregnating 14-year-old in Lagos. Stepfather.
This is such an...
and friend.
It's sad. If you knew that you wouldn't be able to play a role as a stepfather, why did you marry her? The person's, her mother, in the first place? This person is supposed to be your daughter.
Exactly, you know.
This person is supposed to be your daughter, and she suddenly looks appealing to you, 14-year-old. I mean, it shows the level of I don't want to use certain words, but it's sad.
My mind
really
can't
sad.
even comprehend 14-year-old. No way.
The person was crying, you did not stop.
No way.
Challenge you and your friend? No, this is bad.
Well, I see the picture of the first PRO there. I'm sure the police have their hands on this. But let's leave it there for the Punch as we make our way to this Nigeria. The top nameplate there says, federal government workers decry high taxes amid low income. Well, we could talk about that. But look at this, Veronica. June 12th, why I won't use word sorry. This is quoting IBB. some persons have said that he should have apologized, but one way or the other, by ceding to that, some persons have also said that is his own way of apologizing. Is that enough? I'm sure it will be left for the family to know. But there's a picture story there.
I know. Don't move yet. Do not move yet.
Okay.
Calm down. I need to touch on this because it's quite worrisome that he's saying why he wouldn't use the word sorry. He has told Nigerians that, look, I accept full responsibility. It is bigger to accept responsibility. You should see the event beyond the narrow word sorry. I don't think the word sorry is narrow. Now, this is my opinion. I don't think the word sorry is narrow. I mean, people died as a result of that incident. So many things happened. It changed our landscape politically, media-wise, and in every way, economically. That changed our landscape. And if you indeed want to take responsibility for that action, I think that the word sorry would go a long way. Beyond just saying, I took responsibility. The word sorry, it's not narrow. There are people who need to heal.
Exactly.
A lot of persons are looking for closure. Some persons say their families were never the same again as a result of that. And it took you years to come to terms with your role. Although you say it is not necessarily your role, and you pointed an accusing finger at someone else, you should have just said the word sorry if indeed you want history to blot out your name with regards to this issue.
Veronica, you make a salient point right there. I was at the Ekpetedo declaration spot somewhere here on the island, and you mentioned some families, and I saw families who were directly affected by that incident. I mean, where MK Abiola sat and declared himself the winner of that election.
Right.
I was there, I spoke to some members, and you could still see the pain in their eyes. Some of them wriggle at the fact that they didn't have the opportunity that they were given legitimately, to rule as the persons who were elected in office. And so I could relate to the seeming pain that they went through. And so perhaps on that grounds, the word sorry would mean $1 billion to them.
Absolutely. I'm telling you of people who lost their fathers, people who lost their relatives as a result of this matter, people who went on exile as a result of this issue. And you think that sorry doesn't matter? I think it does matter. It doesn't take anything if you use that word. It doesn't change the fact that you were once the military head of state, and it doesn't change the fact that you're an elder statesman. It questions your intention with regards to the statement you made. Actually, if you're not seeing it that way, it questions it. It questions the integrity behind the statement you made, because a lot of persons are asking, why now? Why did you make that statement? And so now a lot of persons seem it's like an open wound. You went back to open a wound that was supposed to have healed over 30 years ago. And because you are still saying certain things, a lot of persons feel injured.
Now, remember, he also mentioned that he wasn't really aware that his colleagues, I would use the phrase now, were the ones who really handled it. And some persons have come to question, really? In a military system, is that even possible?
Everyone is asking that question, Nelson. In the military system where you know that protocol is
tightly, oh my.
Protocol, even when you do not mention certain persons' names and rankings and all of that, you can get into trouble. And then this goes under your nose without you being aware or giving a nod to it. I am wondering, maybe there's something I'm not understanding.
And speaking of protocol being sacrosanct in the military, Veronica, this led me to watching the Oputa panel. I mean, such a wonderful conversation I saw, that existed at the time, and the level of intelligence that was in that room for, I think I watched about 6 different episodes, of the sessions of that panel. And one of the persons who was accused of, I don't want to mention anybody's name, who was accused of doing anything, said that he was given an instruction from his boss. And his boss was right there, sitting in the room, said he didn't so do. And the man looked at the panel and said, do you think that in the military, anybody junior would take an action without being given the instruction by a senior
person?
Nobody could answer. The whole room went into laughter. So I understand what you mean. And so that's why Nigerians are calling for, are you really sure, sir, that you weren't aware? But Veronica, I think we'll let that there.
There are still some stories here that I think we should touch on.
The picture story I wanted to get to, we see right there the president himself, the Minister of Finance, and the Chief Executive Officer of Florida Wave, and his second, the CEO of Alami Capital. It looks to me, day by day, we're seeing the president and the federal government as a whole taking steps to expand our economic net. Veronica?
Absolutely.
And so this again is a lovely gain for the government.
I am looking at this story at the downstrip, talking about health alert. NCDC reports 80 deaths from Lassa fever in 11 states, because we haven't been paying attention to these matters in recent times because of one drama here, the other there in politics. But we need to pay attention to what is going on. Looking at the state of our health facilities and all of it, people need to begin to take responsibility for themselves. We are seeing what NAFDAC is doing, fighting fake drugs and all, and then we are still fighting Lassa fever and other forms of diseases, epidemic and diseases. So it's important that people do the needful in terms of washing their hands, ensuring that there's sanitation around themselves and all of that. They keep their homes clean to avoid their environment clean, to avoid all of these things. It's critical.
And speaking of what the health, about health, there's a story right there again. Doctor staff donate blood to save accident victims at Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital. This sounds like a very lovely one. Taking an active step ahead. It means
that perhaps they ran out of blood in the blood bank, and the doctors decided, you know what, this is what we signed up for, and so because they took the Hippocratic oath to ensure they save lives, and so they decided, you know, it's important that we do the needful to save this life, and kudos to them for taking that step. Really, it's really good to see that.
Indeed, I mean, an impressive one right there from the doctors. I'm not sure I've ever heard about this before. That's why I had to take it.
Of course, I've never heard about it before. That's why
on the spot.
Kudos to them. Perhaps they didn't have any other option, and they found that their blood sample or their blood matched that of the victim, and so they had to able to quickly donate to save that victim.
And that's why we are consistently calling for the government to make sure that our health workers receive what is due them. As we make our way finally to our last paper this morning, the Sporting Life. Veronica, I don't know how good a sports lady you are.
Please stay away from me at this point.
But look at this. Lookman shows class, net brass. Okay. And Dele Bashiru suffers sprained ankle. Oh my. I'm trying to look for a story about my guy.
No, it's your guy.
Osime, who has been spotted one place to the other.
He may not feature in the papers today. Leave Osime alone.
Apparently he's not. But that's what we'll leave it up for the newspaper review segment this morning, as Veronica will continue with the rest of the program.
All right. Thank you, Nelson. It was an interesting time I had. Well, still to come on TV.